Today we are ranking Ducati motorcycles from worst to best. We're gonna take a look at all of the bikes in their current lineup. Cause Logan, what do you think of when you think of Ducati?
I mean, when I think of Ducati, I definitely think of sexy, red, spicy, race-winning sport bikes.
I mean, that's kind of bread and butter. I mean, why do you think the light in the background is red? When you close your eye and you think about Ducati, it's a bright red, beautiful sport bike. But there's a bit of a twist in today's video. We want to introduce something we're calling the Real Ducati framework. Now, this was actually sent to us by user Bangshift Bill on Discord from many years ago, and I resurfaced this tome of knowledge because I actually think it provides a really interesting way of thinking about Ducati. Ducati motorcycles fall into four categories. You have real Ducatis, that's championship winning race bikes like the 1098 or V4R. You then have just Ducatis, those are any Panigales or just regular sport bikes. You then have Ducati Light, that's kind of your non-sport bike models. You think of DesertX's or Hypermotards, those sort of things. And then you have processed Ducati substitutes. These are the Scramblers, unfortunately. So keep that in mind as we talk about the motorcycles today. Big shout out to Bangshift Bill for thinking of this framework. So Logan, what's the first bike when thinking about this?
So we're starting off strong. In the number 14 spot, we have the Ducati Monster SP.
Oh, that's hard to say the Monster's the worst.
I know, it's controversial for sure, you're right. You think the Monster's a famed model in Ducati's lineup, credited for saving the company during financial hardships.
That's true.
Allowing them to bolster the racing program and continue winning races. But the Monster today is a lot different than the Monster in 1998.
Yeah, we were actually looking at this pre-production of like new Monster versus just like a standard old Monster from days gone by. It's kind of hard to even see that they're the same type of bike. We've lost trellis frames, we've lost single-sided swing arms, we've lost Desmos, dry clutches, a lot of what made it cool. And today, using that old 937cc Testastrada motor, not really sure what Ducati's doing with this motorcycle, but ultimately just feels like a kind of a bland naked bike.
Yeah, it's kind of just like an Italian flavored MT bike or something, like they took.
What is Italian flavored? Is that pizza?
Yeah,
is that
oregano,
just a little bit of oregano on an MT bike, then you got a Monster.
Some Calabrian chilies maybe, but.
Whoa, I don't even know what that means.
And then when you compare, it's an Italian chili they use a lot. But when you compare it to bikes like the Streetfighter V2, spend a little bit more, you're getting a whole lot cooler bike, a bike that feels more special, more true Ducati. Ironically, the Monster SP in its modern iteration doesn't really feel like a true Ducati, let alone a true Monster. No. Especially when you think about how much variety that model used to have in different displacements, different engine configurations, air-cooled, liquid-cooled, small ones, bigger ones, and now it's just kind of there. Languishing in the dealership. Kind of feels almost like a bit of a Suzuki bike, like something like they just kind of...
They make it because they have to, almost.
Yeah, and like they upgraded it to a point where it lost its original flavor.
Yeah, the Monster is a bit of a sad thing in Ducati's lineup, and unfortunately for today's video, it does find itself in last place. Now, speaking of not real Ducatis, you probably know what's coming next.
So for unlucky number 13, we've got the Ducati Scramblers, because they sell a handful of them.
Yeah, they got a couple different models. We don't know each one of them. And as we mentioned in the framework, this is gonna fall under your processed Ducati substitute. This is a highly maligned brand, even within Ducati. If you look on Ducati's website, in their model lineup, they can't even bring themselves to use the same font to say Scrambler. They have to use the yellow and the different thing. If that doesn't tell you how little Ducati thinks of their Scramblers, I don't know what else will. But weirdly enough, Logan, the Scrambler is more of a Ducati than the Monster, in my opinion, nowadays.
Sure,
right?
It's got a lot of the core fundamental Ducati elements, right? Trellis frame, air-cooled L-twin engine.
Desmos
and...
Trellis, I mean, come on.
Yeah, and if you're not paying someone to service your rails every 7,500 miles, is it even a real Ducati?
Yeah.
Philosophers will ponder this for millennia.
And I think in the modern age, the Scrambler kind of fit what the Monster used to do in that it helps bolster Ducati's sales overall. They've streamlined their offerings where they only have the 800 series, they only have 3 different Scramblers. There was a time they sold like 9 different Scrambler models, and it was really like they had 1100s and 800s. Now it's just 800s, they updated them a little bit. I don't know where Ducati goes from here with the Scramblers. It would be cool if they continued that lineup and that brand with maybe some different engines, but in today's ranking, this is firmly processed Ducati substitute and does find itself 13th.
So up next, again, another kind of famed Ducati model finds itself near the end of the list. This is the Hypermotard 950. And I think this is sort of a bike too, similar to the Monster, where it's like, where can you kind of take it from here? You know, as we'll talk about later in the video, there's a new Hypermotard that may be more
of a motard than the Hypermotard, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
maybe more effectively.
It made me more motarded than the other Hypermotard.
And it executes the assignment of a motard, supermoto type bike, maybe even a little bit better than the 950 here. This is very much, you think of it like it's a naked bike that kind of looks like a supermoto, you know?
Yeah.
But compared to other naked bikes in Ducati's lineups or from other manufacturers, you know, not as highly as equipped. Like it is that raw, stripped down motard thing, but not really.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of in like an awkward space, I feel.
This was always a very confused bike to me because it has a big 937cc motor, which you may, if you're keeping track at home, that's the same engine in the Monster. But similar to the Ducati Scrambler, the Hypermotard is like, it's a dressed up version of another bike. Like this isn't really a motard. It's a naked bike that they put a big long seat on and they're like, hey, look, it's like, you know, a urban hooligan. I'm like, well, not really. It really rides more just like a sort of really upright naked bike.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a lot of fun. I've ridden one of these. They're a hoot to ride. They're a lot of fun, but I don't really think it deserves much higher of a place in the lineup today because it is using a bit of a tired old engine and that 937cc Testa Stretta. Ducati's clearly doing other stuff with the Hypermotard, which we'll talk about in today's video. And so, yeah, I think 12 is a reasonable fit for this one. So it is Ducati Light. This is not really a real Ducati, not even a Ducati. It's Ducati Light.
Tough but fair.
Yeah, thank you. I try to be.
So now this one's kind of weird. XDiavel. I don't even really know what separates it apart from the regular Diavel sans. I know it has a kind of a longer wheelbase. It looks like forward controls.
Yeah.
But XDiavel owners, I've met a few strangely, and they're quick to say it's not the Diavel. It's its own bike. But I've never really gathered much beyond that.
Yeah, I don't really understand why this is like a separate thing and why Ducati did it this way. They made it so that our video would have 14 and not 13 because they were like, these guys need to.
Superstitious.
Yeah, we don't want 13 bikes on the list. XDiavel is a weird bird from Ducati, right? Big power cruiser, V4 thing, kind of doing like a new age VMAX sort of thing. I was really confused when Ducati first released this bike, I think back in like 2011 or 2012, something like that. And it used the big, powerful twin cylinders from back in the day. Then they went V4. And to me, taking it V4 kind of took away some of the charm because like I think having the super huge V twin configuration felt more like that muscle cruiser thing it was going for. I've never jived with this bike very well. I always, and I've said this, I've maintained this, I think they look weird. They're proportioned weird. Like the gas tank is way too long and big overall on the bike, and the wheel sticks out in a weird way, and it's like a 240 rear section tire. They've never looked quite right because it looks like it's trying to be a naked bike. That's just like, it's like a gym guy that only does arm day. And then, you know, you look up top, you're like, wow, it looks really impressive. And then, you know, you got a little skinny chicken leg. You're like, it just doesn't look quite right.
It looks like a pizza slice.
Yeah, pizza slice, light bulb shape, you know, just odd, off and odd. Anyways, all that to say, the XDiavel is a misshapen, strange creature of a bike. So XDiavel, weird bird, number 11 on the list. Moving on.
So the number 10 spot, we've got the Multistrada V4S.
Multistrada V4S. I have panned this bike several times here on the channel. I rode and reviewed one, and this is actually the bike that gave me in the not good graces of Ducati. Because they facilitated it as a demo bike for us. It was the first time they ever did it for us. And some might say, "Yam, you foolishly, you know, said that it was an appliance, and you malign the name of Ducati." But I was going to tell you how I saw it, you know. So you think about that next time you think that Ducati's cutting me checks. I literally nuked my one chance to get in with the manufacturer because I was like, I don't like the Multistrada.
It's a Yammy Noob story as old as time.
Yeah, it's amazing. Any manufacturer wants to talk to us, given how mercurial we are over here. Multistrada V4, though, it's trying to be too many things. I think that we were talking about this pre-production where it's like, it's a bastardization of what a Ducati should be because it's got the V4 and it's got got the chops and he's got the ponies, but then you put it in a touring bike that can only do, you said it was like 150 miles to a tank or something?
Yeah, it's notoriously has very low range, which is ironic for a touring bike, you know?
And then you see like Pecco Bagnaia like trying to like drift around corners at the track, and it's like, that's not the right tool for the job. Like, just simply put, like, that's just kind of stupid. If you're dropping nearly $40,000, which is what this bike costs on a touring machine, I don't understand why you wouldn't just get a Goldwing. Why wouldn't you? I mean, even a Harley Davidson product, because like those are designed to do that thing. This just feels like the guy that like, I don't know, he wants a sport bike thing, but doesn't want to give it up and like goes long distance. I've never gelled with these bikes.
Yeah, it's definitely like an old school track guy, gets pretty old, gets older, wants to do more long distance touring, but he's like, I can't be seen on a Honda, let alone a Harley Davidson.
That's fair, yeah. I'm kind of that guy. Like, I imagine myself in 30 years, I'll be like, yo, I'll never buy a Harley.
Yeah, it's just a dyed-in-the-wool Ducatisti who has money to spend and is willing to deal with the sacrifices and concessions this bike makes. That's my takeaway from it.
Yeah, and this bike has some cool configurations, like the RS makes a absolute crap ton of horsepower, and then even the S variant as well. I do think though, if you buy the Multistrada V4 Rally, that bike literally doesn't do anything well, right? It's supposed to be a master of all roads, but like, are you really gonna take it off-road? Even a gravel road? Really? No. Are you really gonna mob around like city traffic with a 550-pound V4? It doesn't make sense, Lo.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So, 10th on the list, Multistrada V4S. Don't even get me started on them, even though I just got you guys started on them and I talked to you.
Go back and watch the full review.
Go back. That was like 5 years ago now. So yeah, go back and watch the moment that Ducati said, this guy.
Yeah. All right. And so on the number 9, with these long lists, I can't, anything beyond 7, I can't compute anymore. That's
yeah, Logan has written so many top 7 and top 9s. He's like 14.
I know. It's like I literally didn't even know numbers went that high.
Yeah.
We find the Ducati Diavel V4 RS. So this is the Big Daddy version of an already monstrous kind of Italian muscle cruiser bike.
Yes. This is double XL pizza, baby. This is deep dish lasagna served up to you hot, fresh, and ready. Why did we rank it different than the XDiavel? We kind of went back and forth, like, should we just put Diavels together? And we're like, no, this has a different motor and like it's got different wheelbase and like the foot controls are different. It's different enough to where we have to do it different. So we'll keep this abridged. Diavel V4 RS uses the Desmo Sedici Stradale engine. That's the top dog, the Desmos, the good stuff, the crazy horsepower. So you're not getting the Gran Turismo motor, which has valves, Ducatisti all over, spewing out their hot espressos out of their mouths. And this actually has the good stuff. So in our estimation, this is climbing the ranks of real Ducati. This is getting there. And this is no holds barred pure performance. And I like that.
Yeah. And $40,000 price tag to match.
There you go. How much more Ducati can you get, right?
We're increasing in authenticity as we climb on the list.
Correct. So Diavel V4 RS, that's all we got to say about it, because we already talked about the Diavel a little bit. Moving on. All right, boys, let's take a quick pause mid-video for a reality check. Your home address, your phone number, even your relative's info is all online. It's bought and sold, changing hands with data brokers as often as a used SV650. With all that data available online, you're putting yourself at risk. It's the equivalent to leaving your Busa parked overnight with the keys in it. That's where Incogni comes in. Incogni is like the MotoGP pit crew for your digital life. They track down where your data is exposed and get it removed automatically. And if you spot something specific, their custom removals feature lets you send in the link and they'll wipe it clean for you. If you're the type of rider who lubes their chain every 50 miles, why aren't you doing the same due diligence for your online security? Setup takes just a few minutes. Sign up, grant Incogni permission to remove your info, and let them handle the rest. No endless emails, no hours of DIY takedowns, and if you have any reservations, you can try it risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So, if you don't want hackers, stalkers, or that one weird guy you met when buying a bike off Facebook Marketplace tracking you down, go to incogni.com/Yami and use the code YAMI for 60% off the annual plans. You can find that link down in the description box below. Thanks to Incogni for the support today. Now let's get back to the show.
So as we discussed with the Hypermotard 950, there is another Hypermotard that maybe executes the prompt a little bit better, and that is the Hypermotard 698. I could see myself owning that. You know, I don't do a ton of like highway stuff really, and if I do, you know, I've got the Trans Alp or whatever. I like the idea of a supermoto, but like I don't like the idea of 40 horsepower or whatever.
Yeah. How about 75?
Yeah, 75.
That's what this thing makes, which is insane.
Yeah, I think it's said to be like the most powerful single cylinder engine like made by anybody ever, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they lopped off part of the Panigale motor or whatever.
Yep, it was the old, was it the 1298, I think? The really big one? Yeah, I love that Ducati made this as a side quest. This, to me, is absolutely what a Hypermotard should be. It's a single cylinder. It's very lightweight. It's insanely punchy. I got the chance to ride and review one of these earlier this year. Had a blast on it. It's so much fun. Took it out on track. Also had a blast with it. But, you know, the fun factor's crazy high. It's not that usable, and it is a weird bike that Ducati makes. So in terms of like authentic Ducati energy, you know, kind of questionable. It does have Desmos though. Does have Desmos, and I do think that, you know, if you think about Ducati doing what Ducati does best, or they're like ultimate performance in this specific category of like supermotos, hypermotards, whatever you want to call them, this is a really good one. Like this is outrageous, especially for a street bike.
Yeah,
75 ponies is crazy.
For sure.
So this one we're ranking number 8 in our list of 14. You gotta take some yoga classes, man. The trick is to use the chair.
Defy gravity.
So, Hypermotard 698, we think it's pretty cool. We would rank it sort of 8 in the pantheon of motorcycles that Ducati makes. Now let's move on to the good stuff. Okay, they're gonna start getting red, they're gonna start getting fast. So let's check out the Streetfighter V2S, coming in hot today at number 7 on the list, featuring the new 890cc motor that Ducati's using. Yes, you're gonna say, yeah, it doesn't have Desmos, it doesn't have single-sided swing arm, what are you talking about? But I think this is spiritually fulfilling the mission of what a Ducati should be, better than anything else we've ranked so far. And that's what this list is all about. So, Logan, Streetfighter V2S, what do you think?
Yeah, we had the Panigale V2S here. I love that bike. That's probably one of my favorite motorcycles I've ever ridden. And so in a Street Fighter configuration, you know, probably a little bit more comfortable, maybe a little bit less fun on the freeway and things like that. I think that motor, probably to the chagrin of Ducati purists, is a very well executed modern Ducati. I think it's Ducati, especially in terms of mass appeal, if they want to keep selling motorcycles to normal people like me, they have to increase usability and like longevity and ease of use, ease of maintenance, ease of ownership, right? Maybe that's a hot take, an unpopular opinion, but I think the new 890 motor is pretty sweet. I think the Streetfighter V2 is pretty sweet.
I love that perspective, because you think about the Monster SP and the Scramblers, you know, those are kind of your entry-level Ducatis, right? And yeah, they're very much like Ducati lights, processed Ducati substitutes, right? The Streetfighter V2, in the way that it feels going down the road, it's like Logan said, it feels premium, it feels punchy, it feels throaty. It's what you would imagine a Ducati to feel like, but in a modern iteration. Look, I love the old stuff. Like I had a 1098 here on the channel, some of those old fire-breathing Ducatis that were just hot, difficult, crazy machines to ride. But, you know, we're moving on with the times, right? And we're trying to retain that character. And in Ducati's current modern day lineup, we think the Streetfighter V2S is pretty sweet. All right, next up on the list is the DesertX. I love this motorcycle. I got the chance to ride it out in Las Vegas, out in the hills and the mountains and stuff a few years ago. Was blown away by how well the motorcycle rides. And I think it's cool that Ducati showed up in this adventure category and did what they do best, right? They made something superlative, really great, really well executed. And honestly, the usability and fun factor really ranked high for this motorcycle in today's video. But we were talking about our pre-production. Pretty much every time we do one of these videos, these types of bikes end up like 1 or 2, and we just couldn't do that with Ducati today, right? That just felt sacrilegious to put like the DesertX as number 1 or 2 as a Ducati.
Yeah, when you're talking about Ducatis, emotional appeal is very necessary, right? You have to allow room for some subjectivity when talking about Ducatis.
Yeah.
If we were doing a purely objective ranking, yeah, it would all be middleweight, adventure, naked bikes, you know? But
come on, it's Ducati, right?
Ducati.
So the design language is really cool on the X. I'm very, very much looking forward to the 890cc update to this motorcycle, because this is using that old 937cc Testastrada, which we have seen is being phased out. I think it's almost a no-brainer that this year or next year we're getting an 890cc DesertX. That's going to be pretty sweet. Much more lightweight engine, very well executed. And so yeah, sitting 6th place today. Logan, anything else you want to say about the DesertX?
Yeah, I think it's cool, you know, compared to something like the XDiavel where it's Ducati doing something different. The DesertX is different than core Ducati, but it's still very, very cool. And it has a Ducati ethos still, but in a wildly different application than like a race bike, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that shows their prowess as an overall motorcycle manufacturer, from like design, performance in a new category. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a really sweet bike, and we think it's pretty cool. All right, next up is the Multistrada V2S. Logan, why did we end up with the Multistrada V2S in this ranking above the Streetfighter and the DesertX?
Well, for the Streetfighter, it's just more comfortable, more practical. And then it ranks higher than the DesertX because you and I are both realists, and we're like, going off-road kind of sucks. If you just had, you know, street wheels and tires, probably have more fun 99% of the time.
Yeah.
At least in my eyes, that's why it ranked a little bit higher than DesertX.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I also think that featuring the 890cc, again, a newer motor, it's a little bit more refined. And yeah, I think it fulfills the kind of Ducati mission a little bit better than the DesertX. It still falls in the problem of being a Ducati light, right? We talked about this pre-production where if you buy a Ducati, you kind of want people to see it and be like, oh yeah, that's an awesome like red
100%.
sport bike. And the Multistrada V2S, you know, much like basically every other bike on here, you got to kind of explain that it's a Ducati. Like people aren't just going to immediately be like, oh, like that's a awesome, badass, powerful Italian sport bike. You know?
I just think it's a dad bike.
Yeah, it's kind of a dad bike, and then you got to explain like, why didn't you get the V4 and why did you get the V2? And you're like, well, because I don't need the extra 150 pounds of weight or whatever, and I'm a realist. So, Multistrada V2S, 5th on the list. Really solid bike. You know, I haven't ridden this bike yet, but we did ride the Panigale V2S early this year, and I can put myself in the cockpit of a motorcycle that fundamentally is like the Panigale V2S, but then like has kind of ergonomics, kind of like my Touareg, kind of like your Transalp, and I'm like, that sounds like a fun formula.
Yeah, 100%.
That sounds like a really sweet bike. So hopefully I get to ride one too. That'd be fun. All right, Logan, 4th place, nearly the podium. We're starting to enter the Exotica here. It's the Streetfighter V4S.
Yeah. Some may say it's too low on the list. Some may say it's too high on the list. I think it's in the perfect spot on the list.
We think that's why we put it where we put it. So, Streetfighter V4S. Mwah! Chef's kiss. Beautiful motorcycle, really fun to ride. Has a 16,000 RPM redline limit out of a V4. Not many motorcycles can say that, and that kind of feels like Ducati operating at its peak. And this bike is really cool because unlike other Hypernaked bikes, it is directly related to the superbike that it comes from. A lot of other bikes are not like this. This thing's basically just a naked Panigale, which makes it pretty cool.
It's pretty sweet. And yeah, in the pantheon of Ducati offerings, what more can you ask for, really?
Yeah. So, Desmo valves, proper performance, really, really sweet motorcycle. I'm sad you've never ridden one because they are just...
We'll have to change that.
Hopefully we will. So you're bringing that thing out, man. Oh, it just gives me chills remembering it. Actually, we were talking to our editor, Josh, the other day. I was like, can you just include a couple more clips of the V4S's exhaust note because it's just so good. But yeah, this also falls, you know, people will say, oh, like, that has to be a real Ducati, right? That's a Ducati. Well, no, based on our framework, right, this is not a championship winning platform. This is a naked bike, and it still falls under the thing of like, you got to explain that it's a Ducati, right? Like, it does look red and flashy and cool, but it's still just that little bit away, you know?
It's close, but not quite there.
Not quite there of what you would expect. So this one, 4th place on the list today. And you know what, Logan? It has an 1100cc V4. That's not a race-winning engine.
That's true.
So how are you gonna say that's a real Ducati? It hasn't won any championships.
Not homologated.
Not homologated, baby. You guys see where this list is going, right? Actually, we're gonna juke you out here in just a sec. Speaking of homologated race bikes, Logan,
right.
3rd place on the list today is the Panigale V4R. I'm sure you all thought I was going to put this one first on the list, but there's a very good reason why it finds itself 3rd on today's list. And that is because this motorcycle is too goddamn expensive. I know that's going to sound insane, but I think of the average consumer, the average track day enthusiast, the average racer even, extracting performance out of the machine versus any other leader bike, you're gonna run similar lap times, right? It's a lot of money. They're really rare to see. And I understand some of the appeal about Ducati is exclusivity But this is the only real Ducati on the list today. This is a championship-winning platform. This is the R model. It is different than the other Panigales. And so we had to put it third because, I don't know. There's just something about it.
Yeah,
you know?
It's just a little too specialized. You know, if this was top Ducatis to hang a poster of on your wall or whatever, this would probably be number one, right?
Yeah.
Or top Ducatis to fantasize about having the opportunity to one day own, whatever.
Let alone ride, right?
Yeah.
Like, how many people can say they've even ridden a V4R, let alone taken one on track even?
Right.
Like, it's such a small percentage of people. And maybe that is the Ducati experience, exclusivity, the craziness of it. But yeah, I agree with you that like this to me is just like, it's the poster bike, and in my heart of hearts, yes, it's probably the best thing that Ducati makes because they're operating at their apex. But I don't know, I think it doesn't make as much of an impact as the other bikes that I talk about.
And like, if you're not like a privateer race team or whatever,
There's no point.
yeah, there's one other bike that's probably the superior option.
There's probably another bike. So Panigale V4R, the only real Ducati on the list today. $50,000 proposition, made in limited numbers, of course, to meet homologation rules. Ducati doing what they do best, but not the best one. I don't know. Logan, I hate using this cliche, but we are about to make a lot of people mad with number two, unfortunately. Number two, the penultimate Ducati, is Panigale V2S. Yes, we are ranking this bike above the V4R, even though it doesn't have Desmos, even though it doesn't have a single-sided swing arm, even though it's not a championship-winning race bike. I just think that this bike fits the mold because it looks like a Ducati, it goes like a Ducati, it's accessible to people, and it's just a cool, fun bike. And sometimes that's what you need in your lineup rather than insane $50,000 motorcycles, because Logan, if they only built that, then they'd be MV Agusta, you know?
Right.
And Ducati's bigger than that, right? So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if of all the motorcycles on the list, if I had to just buy one Ducati, it would probably be the V2S, just in terms of price, performance, usability, ease of use. It's so easy to ride, but it looks like a Ducati, it sounds like a Ducati. When we had the one in the shop for those couple months, I kind of compared it. It feels like a kind of hopped up Audi sedan or something. Like, it's a premium, luxurious feel, but it's not a race bike. You know what I mean? It's a street bike that's really fun, sounds cool, feels premium, feels special, doesn't totally cost too much money, costs more than the Japanese alternatives, but it's worth it. I would say it's worth it.
Yeah, and I think for all those reasons, you know, I think it's super important that Ducati makes this bike. This is, other than the ultra expensive Panigale models, like, this is the only other fully fared Ducati you can get right now, right? Like, all these other bikes we talked about, you know, XDiavels, Multistradas, Hypermotards, DesertXs, these are all like weird offshoots of bikes, right? Like, this is a sport bike. Now, we've made countless videos talking about, is it a real sport bike? Is it good enough? Is it compared to the old V2? Blah, blah, blah. But like, this still has all the DNA of those old Panigales. We rode the old one back to back with this one. And like Logan said, this one's comfortable. It's fun. It looks like a real Ducati. And you can get it at a price that isn't gonna make you like totally kill yourself whenever you look at your bank statements, right? So Panigale V2S, guys, I mean, we're really gonna put it there. Number two on the spot today, over the V4R, because of its overall impact. Yes, it's not a real Ducati. It hasn't won any championships. It's just a Panigale, but sometimes that's all you need.
Sometimes that's all you need. And like, yeah, if at the end of the day, Ducati is in the business of selling motorcycles, you know, no matter how many people want to pretend it's like racing first, everything else second, you got to sell bikes to exist, right? And in the business of selling bikes, I think the V2S is like a knockout hit.
Yeah, and some might say, oh, that's Audi's, you know, the VW Group's overlord image of what Ducati should be. They just want to make profit. But I'll tell you what, I've ridden the old stuff Ducati makes and the new stuff. If that's what it means to have Audi ownership, they're doing a great job. The bikes are so much better than they used to be. And that's exactly why the number one bike was picked as number one. Number one on the list today of motorcycles Ducati sells. Give me a drum roll, please. The Panigale V4 and the V4S. I delineated these for a very specific reason. I think this motorcycle is the best thing that Ducati makes for several reasons. Number one, the base model isn't that expensive. Okay, you might see the S and you say, Jesus, what is it, like 35 grand or whatever? You're like, God, that's a lot of money for a motorcycle. Don't get the S. Just get the regular base model. Then it's like 28 grand, I think. I mean, under 30 grand. And here's the kicker. When I rode the 2020 V4R, that was a bike that I thought to myself, my God, that bike is just incredible. It's so superlative. It's so amazing, blah, blah, blah. What Ducati's done with these is every time they update, this is a 7th generation big dog super sport model that they make, they always get better and easier to ride. So now you have a motorcycle that is easy to ride, fun to ride, just as capable as an old generation R, but at an accessible price point that you could still ride on the street if you really wanted to, and you can actually go to the gas station and flex up because it looks like a real deal Ducati. This thing looks crazy and awesome in all the right ways, and I just can't help but sing its praises high because I think it's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I could even really add anything. I think that you very succinctly described its place in Ducati's lineup.
Yeah, I think with the 1103cc V4, again, not a championship winning Ducati, but I think for the average track day enthusiast, an amazing motorcycle. For the Instagram clout goblin, a great motorcycle. It achieves the moniker of kind of like the wow factor of owning a Ducati. It's got that crazy screaming V4. I don't know, to me, this is the bike Ducati makes at the moment, and I don't know. You just watch Marc Marquez riding one of these around Balaton Park and tell me that you don't think you could do those things with it too. You're just like, man, I want to be that guy, you know? Like, I want to ride the bike like that. And it just inspires dreams, Logan. It inspires confidence and dreams.
Oh, wow.
And now Ducati, now I got to go collect my checks really quick because although I did say bad things about the Multi, they're coming back for me. But yeah. You want to say anything? I'm just singing its praises over here. I love the bike.
If it's good enough for Matthew Woods, it's good enough for #1.
He doesn't even ride it as much anymore, right? He's like scared of leader bikes now or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, Panigale V4, king of the castle. Yes, it's not a real Ducati, but it is a Ducati. It looks cool. It sounds awesome. That's our ranking for today. Logan, if you had to pick one of them, which would you pick?
Panigale V2S.
Really?
Yeah, I think
so.
so.
You talk about the Hypermotard a little bit, though.
If I had to have one Ducati, and that was the only Ducati it's ever have, it would have to be a fully faired red sport bike.
Yeah.
But in the
Same.
Understanding that life is forever changing and nothing is permanent, I like the idea of a Hypermotard 698 in the here and now. But if it was like the ultimate only Ducati I could purchase, it'd probably be the V2S.
That's fair. As you can probably tell by my monologue here at the end,
yeah,
I'd get a Pani V4.
Sure.
And fun fact, for those of you at the end of the video, I'm getting a Pani V4 in a week. I can't tell you why I'm getting one just yet. It's not exactly a giveaway bike, but it's gonna be fun. All right, boys, that's our Ducati lineup. Let us know if you agree, disagree, what you thought about it. Thanks for checking out today's video. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.